Alright, welcome to episode 1 of growing this $100 futures account into over $1,000. We might extend the goal into a higher level like $5,000, $10,000 once we hit that goal, but for now, our main target is hitting $1,000 on this account. After, I guess, episode 0, the video I was talking about futures versus options, you guys saw me make my first trade on the account, which was a $50 profit trade that brought the account up to $150. Then I ended up trading the account the next day. We were able to get the account up to like around $300. And so that's our starting point from today. Again, today I started kind of recording mid-trade, so you guys are seeing that I'm already down on this position a little bit. We're down about $15 on this position, and we had already realized some losses on the day. So right now we're down $83.75 on the day, and the account's sitting at $234.95. So let's play this out, and I'll give you guys kind of my thought process during this trade. So yeah, and then we'll see where we're standing at the end of this video. But if you guys are enjoying this, make sure to leave a like and I'll continue this series. Alright, so here on this screen you guys can see my average price here. It was around 3,959.50, and I was short 4 contracts at this point, which is pretty hefty for this account. You can see that. Let's pause the video real quick. It's pretty high margin for my account. It's about to hit 90% margin, which means that we can get auto liquidated pretty easily here. That's why I had this stop here. Getting out all 4 contracts just right before the liquidation, the auto liquidation triggers. So obviously we don't want to get auto liquidated. It's going to charge you like a $50 fee, and for our account size that's pretty big, and so might as well just hit the stop loss right before that auto liquidation triggers. And the reason I was so aggressive at this point, you can see my initial entries were around here. I had a long here that I got stopped out, and I'll show you guys why I was long, but we actually have to go to SPX for this. So that right there was the open for futures. The reason I ended up going long pretty early on was because I was expecting this zone over here to hold, and the reason this zone right here is important is because it's been our previous support right here. You see we bounced off it here once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, and then once we dropped below it, it became a resistance point when we came back to retest it. That didn't end up happening. We started breaking down, and as we broke down, I got stopped out. I switched over to a bearish position because now this point of control area has now switched over to the bear side, and I was expecting it to act as a resistance. So that's why you can see here I was getting stopped out, and that's where our realized loss comes in from. Short there, and then I added another one here as we kind of pushed above, and then we started coming back down. We broke down this support right here that we were creating, so I added another contract there, and then I added a final contract down here. That's when I really started getting aggressive because I thought we were breaking down. You know, we were seeing some bigger candles here, and at this point I was in the profit, but then we started seeing this bounce here, and that's where things got iffy because you know, this is a smaller account, so 4 contracts on a small account, even though there are micro e-minis, that's a big thing, right? We're not giving too much space for getting auto liquidated. So it was around here where I added that final contract, so you guys can see it better here on SPX. So again, the reason why I added and I got aggressive was because I thought we were definitively establishing this as a resistance zone, supply zone, which was my thesis for the trade. And so as we started going into profits and extending, that's why I got aggressive and added that 4th contract. Let's go back to the video and let's see how it plays out. I'm gonna have to skip through this because this is like 5 hours long with the footage. I ended up letting it play last night, and then I woke up and then I'm like, shit, I was still recording from last night. So it's like 5 hours. We're gonna have to find where the executions happen. But you can see here it's a little bit frustrating because I had just added my contract. I thought, okay, it's time to go. We're really gonna get some profits here, and you can see I set a profit target right here for my first exit, and we got so close to it, but I didn't get a fill there. So annoying. And then we saw this bounce here. Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck? They'll want to get rid of their profit targets down below. Like I had my 4 profit targets are already set, and they'll want to start adjusting them because they're like, well, price is not, you know, it's bouncing now. But this is gonna happen, right? Like, price is not always gonna do exactly what you want it to do. But there was still no reason for me to sell. Like you can see, there's a clear high here, or resistance zone here, and even if we bounce like to here, that's still creating a lower high here. So the trend is still continuing. You know, it is annoying action, but it hasn't invalidated my overall thesis. And so at this point, even though it was nerve-wracking and I was letting a green trade turn red, it wasn't by too much, and you know, worst case scenario, I do get stopped out, and that brings our account down to like the hundreds.
They ain't believe in us. God did.
Okay, there we go. We get some nice red candles there, but again, it's starting to wick a little bit. And this is the one benefit to trading futures, right? Obviously, if we were trading options on this, like on this trade, and we had added aggressively here, we would have been down massively because if you guys know, theta decay and implied volatility, options would have got crushed on this move here, which is the one advantage to futures, right? Where like this is my average price. Once we get back here, I'm back at break even. With options, even if this was my, you know, quote unquote average price, at this point we would have been like down negative 20%, negative 30% on 0 dates at this point. Like we would have been barely getting break even somewhere around here on options, but here we're in the green now. And you can see like this, once we broke this like big point of control level, we saw a nice move, which is what we were hoping for. So we're now back to that point where I add another contract. If I had a bigger account, I would have probably added more contracts here, but since we are limited, you know, 4 is definitely already like cutting it like really close to being like too risky already. So obviously I can't add another contract, but that would have been a decent spot to add another contract. I think around here is where we get filled. There we go. So we got our first take profit there. Now the account's back above 300. Our open P&L is 46 now, and our realized P&L has come down to now only being down negative 55. So our total P&L for the day is 875, including commissions. It's probably like 12, negative 12. And honestly, at this point, the reason I took this profits is obviously to minimize that risk we had, make it less stressful holding these 4 contracts. And I did expect us to fully come down. You know, this is basically acting as confirmation. So in reality, I could have probably been adding a contract here, like I already mentioned, if we had a bigger account size. But because of our limitations with the account size, I decided to take profits because I feel like we were holding a little bit too much for what our account we really should have been holding with our account size. So we took our profits there, especially since we saw, you know, price action could be a little stubborn here. So it is possible that we could have ended up bouncing again and testing the zone again. So I didn't want to risk that. Ended up locking some profits there. And our next profit target, like that's kind of the reason why it's like so close to our first price target. Normally I wouldn't trade like this, but I'd be much more comfortable, especially since I was like gonna go to sleep at this point. So I was just gonna let it play out. I'd be a lot more comfortable just holding the two contracts and not having to worry about it too much. Because at that point, if we got stopped down on 2 contracts, we still would have been like fine. The count would have been like at least $200 if we got stopped out on the 2 remaining contracts once we get this profit target out of the way. So that's why that was kind of my thought process during that. And you can see I start adjusting my stop losses at this point. And then I get my other take profit there. And that's the thing, like sometimes you get these big moves. It's good to have your profit targets, like your limit orders out there. Sometimes you get these big moves and then it wicks off. Usually we'll come back down and get extension if the move is really strong, but sometimes that'll be it. Like we'll start wicking all the way back up. So yeah, just if you're trading futures, word of advice, just have your orders out there. Like you can see there, it wicked all the way back up to here above our first take profit. So I was going to take this opportunity to actually jump back another contract short, just because I thought, like I said again, I thought this was kind of like confirmation mode. And now that we've secured kind of some of the profits and we're only holding 2 contracts, so if we can get a good price on this, I'm okay with holding 3 contracts. I'll probably take profits on it fast, but you can see here this cumulative delta. There's some really nice selling pressure there on that candle. And again, that big reaction to wick, we should, most of the time we'll see this eventually come back down and continue lower. So I think I ended up jumping on the ass there around here. There you go, I jumped on the ass there and I got filled there. And this is just gonna be for a quick scalp. I was trying to sell it somewhere around here. Yeah, I put my limit order there, and then we get filled there. So again, just realizing more profits and quick scalp there, just because I thought that bounce we were eventually gonna fill lower again. So again, once again, we're holding only 2 contracts here. Our open P&L is $18. The account's back up to 327, and now we got our 2 stop losses and our 2 take profits already put in place. I think at this point I ended up like leaving it there and heading to bed pretty soon. Yeah, I think after that I just left it and then it just plays out. So I didn't even get to see like what happened, but we'll watch it right now to see what happened. So yeah, like you see there, we ended up coming back down. That's usually what you see happen, unless they really get aggressive and they bounce it up. But 9 times out of 10, we'll continue lower after a candle like that, especially with the selling pressure to go with it. So you just chop around in this area. It seems like, again, with options, your contract would get like you just be losing money this whole time right here. So what can happen with options is sometimes you're right on the move, but you just don't time it perfectly. So that's the issue with options. You have to get the move right and you have to time it like spot on. But, oh dang, I didn't even remember this because again I think I want to sleep at this point. So we ended up coming all the way back up. That's the reason I kind of like took profits on these fast, because I expected something like this could happen, especially again once if you're trading in the overnight session. Stuff like this is a lot more common. So we're coming back up to this point of control zone. But you see the difference on this drop here. We saw a massive reaction on the cumulative delta. On this move up, it's kind of like it's pretty muted action. It's pretty muted here. It's not like aggressively it's spiking all the way back up. If it was the case, it could have been the fact that that was the low and we never went any lower in this session. So yeah, we come up right up to that zone and then we start wicking. So nice initial reaction. There we go. So a nice reaction there. See those wicks? They come out of nowhere. Alright, so getting really close to my third take profit. There we go. Got filled there. Now we're nicely in the green. So at this point we realized P&L $20, which I think at the start of the video that was like down $60, something like that. So very nice turnaround there. Counts back up to 361. And now we're just waiting for the last take profit to hit. Look at that, man. Dang, they brought it all the way up. This is my first time seeing this because, like I said, I had already gone to sleep at this point. That would have been annoying right there. Oh my, they brought it all the way up. So once again, testing point of control. We were so close to hitting my fourth take profit. If I was watching this play out live, that would have been, I probably would have just exited the position there. Just so I don't have to deal with this action. Alright, so we got 4 more hours. I think we exited the position much earlier though. I just left it recording until I woke up. So we'll see. Okay, let me skip through this. Okay, so we saw a pretty nice bounce there. That's almost a 10-point bounce there on ES. I probably would have adjusted my stop loss if I was awake to somewhere over here. So we would have been close to getting stopped out here on the last contract. And again, if you were holding options, you would have got wrecked on this. Even though it's really not that far from your original position or your average cost. Again, we're seeing this big spike, but hardly a reaction on the delta. I mean, it's climbing up there, but it's not massive. So we actually got over the point of control. Interesting. But there's still a lot of resistance here, which is a good thing about this trade. You have established resistance at this point, and at this point. So there's really a lot more room to the downside on this trade instead of the upside, because of that, history on this in the session. Okay, nice reaction there. Gonna skip forward a lot faster now. Okay, there we go. We can clearly see we're trying to trend down. It's not happening as cleanly, but we are eventually getting there. Back into that point of control. Okay, now we're in profits again. Again, if I was probably trading this, I probably would have added another contract here because that looks pretty nice. It's the third time we're coming down here. Third time's the charm, probably. Maybe not. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay, let's make a new low on the session. New low there, got so close but didn't get filled. Bro, if they bring this back up, I'm actually done. Okay, hitting the 2-hour mark. So this trade at this point has been 2 hours long. Yep, they bounce it again. Oh man. Okay. Oh, we got filled there. But that's why it's interesting to record your chart, because obviously after the fact, this doesn't look too bad, right? Like, all right, we had our entries here, here, got filled. But like while this is playing out, it could be so like really annoying, and it could fake you out a lot of time. There's a lot of points in this chart where you could have got faked out. But it's all about listening to the key levels. And unless your thesis is really getting invalidated, there's no point to exit the trade prematurely, unless of course you're trading some like options where you have to have like the time spot on. You know, you have no other choice than to exit sometimes before the move actually happens, which can be really frustrating. That's why I told you guys in that video, if you guys have only ever traded options, it might be the case that you know how to trade, right? You know how to like predict the moves. You're just not able to time them correctly, and so maybe trading futures will help you with that. That's why I told you guys to try both of them out. Yeah, there's many times in this chart where you could have got faked out. Like at this point, once your third profit target gets hit, and then does this, after being so close to your fourth take profit, a lot of people would have like, you know, got really frustrated at that point. But even at this point, right, our thesis is still not invalidated. We still have our resistance here and here. Our stop loss is all the way up here, so there's no point to exit the trade really, unless again you were forced to because of holding options and you need that to be time, you know, the time to be spot on. But otherwise, no reason to exit the trade, and it eventually did end up working out. Yeah, it did take 2 hours, but it's an overnight session, so it's kind of expected. And you know, I wasn't even watching it at this point. I was asleep. Our final realized P&L ended up being $56.25 with commissions. That's probably like $49, $48. The account's now at $371.35, and we started the account at 150, so we're now nicely above 100% account growth in like 3 sessions at this point, so that's pretty cool. And again, if you guys want to see me continue growing this account, our target, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is $1,000. Once we hit that, we could probably continue this series if you guys want to. If not, I'll end it there, and hopefully you guys were able to take some, from the series. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed. Other than that though, I'll catch you guys in the next one. It's been me, Zero, and I'm out. Peace.